Hail and well met, adventurers. It's been a whole week since we last saw your beautiful faces on this channel. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to Graham Crackers, or Graham Cracker Central, as we lovingly call it in the Discord. Here at Graham Crackers, we are all about making memories with friends, whether those are through TTRPGs, RPGs, or MMORPGs, or really just any time you can get friends together, even if it's just talking about Lord of the Rings for 2 hours with no breaks. But tonight, we are once more resuming our D&D 5e homebrew campaign of Goldshine Investigations. I will be playing Gaheris Nervos, Lord Blackmont, Lord of the Barodels and the Silver Sanctum, and, Paladin Bard. But I am joined by some phenomenal friends and phenomenal people who, while they need no introduction, I would love to hear, 3 things. Who are they? Who are they playing? And Pharaoh, what's the question we want answered tonight?
What are they planning on doing when all this is over?
Ooh, well, Gaheris plans on getting married, raising his 3 baby dragons, and slowly conquering Mazai.
Okay, I guess that leaves it to me. I will be playing Utaka, a Water Genasi Death Cleric rogue. And he plans, when all this is over, on the mortal realm no longer being his concern. Off to you, Kari.
Excellent, excellent. Hello, everyone. It's me, Kari. I will be playing Israel, the half-elf Fae Pact warlock. And, when all this is said and done, she is also planning on getting married, raising her dragon children, and raising her other children such that they might, as they come into existence at whatever time is appropriate, and help Gaheris with his goals on the continent, because quite honestly, she's content with that. That's fine. Probably see her family and arrange to see her family in between that time. So all of those things will happen when this is over.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy, and I have the pleasure of playing Barrow Lord Ivron, the silver-haired Hell Knight Blackmont, an Oath of Devotion Protector Asimar Paladin. And I think if Gaheris is going the route of leader of the Silver Sanctum, or Liege Lord, or King, or Conqueror, whatever title he takes on there, Ivron will go in the opposite direction and look after the Barodel, and really focus on that, and hopefully attend this wedding I keep hearing about. So Derek is not here, but he would be Kriaz Bramblepelt, our bugbear druid. With all the cast now arrayed, I will pass it to our wonderful GM, Matt.
That's me. I'm Matt, your DM, and I will be playing everyone else. And for what will be happening after the campaign is over, while the priest will hopefully be bested, and Lord Els will be very calmly and peacefully abdicated from his power. That does still leave some stray loose ends, cultists on the loose, the monsters they created. And I hope that we can revisit these characters in this setting sometime to see the party just reunite once or twice, travel around, and deal with some of the loose ends that got left behind. With that, though, before we can get to loose ends, I think it's high time that we wrap up the box itself. Are we all ready to dive back into the Goldshine investigations? Very well.
We may need to
When?
go onto a quick tech gremlin break.
Oh, no tech. We need a tech gremlin break. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do that, and then I'll do the recap, and we'll jump in as soon as we get back.
All right. We'll be back in like a solid 3. And we're back. I have defeated the gremlins, and in doing so, I have discovered that they changed some people around. How rude of them.
On the bright side, we recovered some legendary loot. We got a legendary Derek sword.
It's true. I found him. We rescued Derek. And now we are
Telegraph?
all fixed.
I've never regretted my last name more. Thanks, Matt.
I did it!
The legendary Derek sword.
Take it away, Matt. It's all yours. I can't follow that up.
I'm trying to decide who would be funniest to be wielding Derek, but anyway.
Dickens and some not safe.
I
for
thought
work
of my
territory.
new character for the next campaign. FYI.
Just as a side note.
It's gonna be a lady warrior, and her sword is gonna be named Derek.
The sentient
Just there
sword.
for dad jokes and bad puns.
All
It's not
right.
actually helpful. Yeah. Be a hexblade.
Glad to have you, Derek.
That'd be-
When we last left off on the Goldshine investigations, the party successfully negotiated an end to the Bluefield War, convincing the leaders of the Bluefield Alliance, the Emelian Empire, the Bobwin Sultanate, and the Undarian Duchy to sign a treaty that the monster folk and undercommon would no longer be brought to harm, and conflict between the colonizers and the locals would, for now, be ceased, as a greater threat is on the horizon. A horizon that seems to be arriving much sooner than intended. With the party having played right into Lord Elz's hands, negotiated an alliance between his enemies where he hopes that they can exterminate his followers, who he wishes to now be rid of, and he can take your place and lead this alliance to glory. Not if the party has anything to say about it. For, with the intervention of Moscow, the Autumn Court Spriggan, the nature spirits of the Black Swamp, Andrasta, Ivron Blackmont's birth mother, and Gaheris's own sheer will, the party managed to survive despite the machinations of beings both cosmic and mortal. And Utaka stood up to the water goddess that they had feared for so long, and in doing so has earned her ire. However, they have cemented the long-term loyalty of Ninkalim, who is willing to stand with Utaka against their own best interests, as clearly their original allies were not super keen on concepts of loyalty and following through on their bargains. But while the party survived, there is not a short list of casualties. Moscow gave up their entire existence to the wheel to ensure Israel survived, and the priest has been awoken and is causing ripples of magical energy, causing spells to fly off at random, more powerful than intended, and spellcasters are falling ill as their magic begins to rapidly overwhelm them. It is only through the intervention of the gods that the magical population of this continent does not fall dead. As a hurricane begins to swirl around the great dragon, which now takes to the skies and soars around Mazai, free at last from the underground of Amelia City over the last decade. Tails has managed to rescue the nobility, the civilians, and all of you, and take you all to safety in the Silver Sanctum, where they agreed that in order to beat the priest, you must fight the wheel on its own terms. And that means doing the right things in the right order. You are at the Silver Sanctum making your preparations, but once you return to Tails within a couple hours, you will be sent to the Bobwin Sultanate territories, where Kenny Caldwell is somewhere in the Arrowhead Desert, bringing a deep, freezing winter to the ordinarily hot desert sands. And as soon as Kenny is dealt with, whether that be through diplomacy or violence, the Black Swamp awaits you. And with the priest released and the children of Redside at the height of their power, the swamp's life hangs in the balance. And the nature spirits have sworn that they will protect Griaz if Griaz protects them. But it is up to Griaz to decide how druidic justice will be served. Will Griaz negotiate and allow Melvin's family to live, despite their desecration of the swamp? Or will they resort to what they're familiar with and cut a few throats and commit a few horse crimes? Diving back in, as you all scatter into the Silver Sanctum. Waters outside of the dome churn and surge with energy as Amphitrite's anger and the priest's magical energy cause the waters to swirl and almost boil. And you can see crackles of lightning surging through the water as the civilians, now away from the more immediate danger, just watch in concern and almost awe as the water, kept away from them only by a thin sheet of glass, swirls and crackles, threatening to destroy the dome at potentially any moment. Gaharis, as you make your way into the sanctum, any business you need to conduct or errands you wish to run before returning to Tales, ready to begin the final step of your journey?
I don't think so. I think that Gaharis is ready to go. I think the only thing that Gaharis will do before leaving or getting ready to go is that Gaharis will have the security of the Silver Sanctum step up and be on watch. And we'll kind of organize like some patrols. And outside of that, Buckler's crew, the ones that still remain in the city, I will probably have them under watch. Not because I expect them to do anything wrong, but because they're and I would voice this to them, that they are the most likely to be approached because of their situation. And I would point out that we have the cure and that we will be distributing as soon as we're done.
It's real fucking convenient that that's all you need to do, because I gotta grab you.
Yeah.
And Basil.
Yes.
Buckler and her crew seem a little concerned at the implication that they will basically be under a sort of extended house arrest. But as you explain your reasonings and thought process, they seem to understand. Although you note the moment you bring up the possibility of a cure, their eyes widen, and Buckler steps forward. And you're sure it works?
I am absolutely sure. After all, I have, already cured the, oh gosh, what is his name? Ishmael?
They all turn to look at him, and he just kind of smiles guiltily and puts his hands up, and she kind of looks to you, looks to him, back to you, and suppose it would be too much to ask to get it here and now?
Do I have the extra resources from Basil? I forget if he gave me one dose or if he gave me enough for all of them.
I believe he just gave you one,
Okay.
if I recall. And his stock is currently in Nightmare, as that many magical items right now is too dangerous to have in one place.
That is fair. In which case, I will... with Utaka there, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I gotta fucking grab you. I know you shoved all that shit in Nightmare, but I gotta talk to Basil. His armor's getting real fucking heavy.
With armor? The armor you're wearing?
This shit, and he starts like tugging at the heavy armor that he's no longer proficient in.
Is it magical? I don't understand why
Yeah.
you would not be
No,
able to wear it.
I don't know. It was always so fucking easy, but he just kind of gestures to the side of the dome where the water crackles. I think she's mad at me or something.
I get it. Okay, on a glass dome under the water, angry water goddess. Okay, we'll have to
Yeah,
figure
that's
that
why I
out.
told them to not fucking go in the water, because she's... I mean, you didn't see her, but she's pissed.
All right, I'll start like
I might
unfastening
have, like,
some of
betrayed
like.
her.
You did a walk through the garden, as they say, and like I'm like
I
undoing
mean-
some of the laces.
I mean, she was trying to get me to betray you guys, so if anything, you're welcome.
Thank you. That is very kind of you.
But yeah, I gotta take this shit off. And he starts like literally just like pulling the armor off. Just kind of hefts it onto his shoulder.
And then I'll like turn back to Buckler Skirler watching us like do this. The goods are currently in a anti-magic field as the priest has awakened. Everything that is magic is going to start going awry. But if you do want to help, we need any magical items within the city that could overcharge or explode or react poorly. We need to get them in a safe spot.
If I recall correctly, and she points to the tower, which you guys have mostly cleared out, but still probably has a lot of magic stuff in it. That's probably not good to leave unattended right now.
I could think of no better peoples and peoples that can't die to attend it.
Wait to lift the curse until the opportune moment, eh?
I don't think it is a matter of opportunity. I was always going to offer it free of charge. I simply
good man.
don't want any of you to risk your lives for minimal reward. I would like you to get a long life out of the cure.
Thanks. Bring yourself back safe. We'll clear your tower out for you. Last thing I want to be is underwater with a giant lightning rod.
Perfect thing. If you need any help from the robots, I honestly cannot guarantee that they are magic, or if they are magic. That is a great question. Are they magic? Oh no.
Not by design. Remember, I've been down here once or twice myself. They know me. They'll let me
Wonderful.
through.
But if you need any assistance from them, let me know.
Aye, aye, Captain.
And
Stay safe out there.
I will try my best. Utaka, do we need to get you any of the armor?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to Basil. I don't know what shit he is.
At the moment, and you feel the tiny hands on your shoulder. My stock is a touch out of reach,
Yeah,
but
but he's here. Can we talk shop, like, there? Because I got some shit that I could get off my back if we're about to go on a road trip.
Lord of Nightmare, is that something you're willing to acquiesce?
Absolutely. I just need to scare someone really badly.
Yeah,
Any
whatever,
volunteer?
do me.
Okay. Oh boy. So I will move just like I did with the dancers, so that it is angled only towards Utaka.
And Basil promptly just hands off and almost does like one of those like backboard style drop offs and out of sight, trying to clear some space.
and I will let it loose. Actually, can I? I think it's once per day, and I think I've already used it today.
Yes. But remember,
But
the priest's
unlimited
magic works on
yeah.
items.
I need you to make a DC 15 saving throw.
Can I not willingly fail?
You can
That's
always willingly fail.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
What is Utaka afraid of?
Lazy Susan. The scariest part of Nightmare.
Yeah. 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 So I will fear you, and then I will conjure the door up again, and...
As Gaheris unsheaths the dark blade and waves it, Utaka, that very familiar wisp of black smoke, and you see visions of Lazy Susan, this dark shape in the lake that promptly starts to like bash its way through the dome, and just so much fear and terror going through your mind. Lazy Susan somehow got out of Nightmare. Lazy Susan is hungry. Lazy Susan's getting buffed by the priest. Lazy Susan just broke the dome open, so now you're getting attacked by Lazy Susan and your angry god mom. Everything is awful. It's terrifying. And Gaheris, as Utaka's wisp of fear enters your blade, you carve a hole into reality and reopen the door to your domain in Nightmare.
For the context, for anyone watching, Lazy Susan is a gargantuan mimic.
It was a mimic literally big enough to act as a battle map by itself.
In the shape of a table. Hence,
Yep.
Lazy Susan.
A very large table for trolls.
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely terrifying.
Israel, while they journey into Nightmare, what are you doing?
So she's doing the more mundane collection of making sure that they have appropriate clothing for the freezing desert they're about to enter. Just regular sort of supply checks. And finally, she is going to check on her dragon children. And she is going to not only give them a proper farewell, she's also going to pass on the stories that she was able to get basically during, because it's like, I don't want for either myself or Gaheris to die without you learning the stories of your people. So I'm going to share them with you now, and I will share them again when I return. You know, repeat the things that like parents say of like, we love you, and that kind of thing, giving them some last wisdom of if they don't come back, things that they can remember and carry with them forward. And of course, making sure that they know that they are loved and we will be back as we can. And that they're great dragons and they're going to grow up to be great and all that good stuff. So a rough summary there. And then she's going to join the group ready at the gates.
Okay. As you return to your little equal parts temple for Utaka, equal parts little improvised home base, and also teleportation bus stop for all intents and purposes, your dragons inside as you enter are in a bit of a panic. You can see that Giacomo, the black dragon, is like looking with that kind of hunched posture of almost like a cat that knows it's about to be sick. And as another energy of the priest crackles through the dome, you can see Giacomo kind of like and like cough, and just this spray of acid goes across the floor, and Jolene and Riviere have to like kind of dodge out of the way, and they're dealing with their own bursts of flame and magic and ice, and just they're confused and scared. But as you gather them and comfort them, they slowly begin to calm down as you explain the situation, explain that you love them, and that even if you do not come back, there are stories that they can remember, wisdom that they can learn from, and that you will always be with them in some form or another, even if they cannot see you.
Their ancestral home, if they need to go there, and of course their nature as pure magical beings, and the suggestion that during this time to go away and deliberately use as much magic as they can, make it a game, make it training, perhaps. Go have fun, but find a place away from other people to do it.
The moment you say that, Zelbecatorix immediately just flies out of the room, and you can immediately hear sprays of ice as they decide to make the entire city their training ground.
And she will turn to the others who are more responsible, like Tirsa. It's like, wait a minute. Have fun. She'd let you have your assignments. Go save the city from Zelbecatorix. Like, go.
But don't you know his victory is inevitable?
Precisely. But you know what?
It's in the name.
A great way to entertain some small dragons for the foreseeable future. We'll have the team of Power Rangers versus the one villain. It'll be great.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole thing.
Fight.
That is a fantastic, like, playground fight.
Exactly.
Like,
They'll have like the
for kids,
cheesy
yeah.
lines. You all know these things. We played this. This was our play pretends. It's going to be great. They're going to have fun. But with that, she leaves them to their own devices, confident that, you know what, they'll manage. They'll figure it out.
And the dragons begin to fly and file out to chase after their sibling, to play, to practice, and to just take their mind off of everything that's going on. While you, for the first time in your life, you have to be the parent and deal with the monster under the bed while they play outside. But before you go, as you've made your final preparations and start making your way back to Utaka's temple, you feel a small, smooth as glass pair of tiny limbs on your leg as Tirsa clings to your leg and stares up at you with small little draconic eyes. The small glass dragon. And are you gonna be okay?
I have everyone watching out for me. And I promise that I will be doing my absolute best to make it back. And she'll pet her head gently.
They kind of cling to you tighter for a moment before you can hear a slight mumble. You promise?
I promise.
Tirsa finally relinquishes your leg and slowly makes their way out to follow their siblings, although they do look over their shoulder at you. And with preparations made and the children safe and instructed on managing their current situation as best they can, you wait for the others to arrive. Griaz, what are you doing?
I think he's checking in on his collection, his menagerie. So he's got his little paddock with, he set up the portable swamp in there. So you got Sarge, Chevy, and Junior always comes with him, but he's trying to pay a little extra attention. I'll make sure that they're fed, because he told Tails too, but Tails also has a lot on his mind. And yeah, just trying to spend some time with the pets and be like, you know, I really want to take y'all with me. Chevy, you know you ain't big, you know you ain't big enough yet. And Sarge, I ain't gonna put you in that danger. It just ain't worth it. But I am gonna take y'all to the swamp one day when it's back to what it should be.
The animals, because I'm assuming you're not using magic to commune with them unnaturally, unless you wish to do so.
Yeah, with the whole magic being weird thing, he knows that they can, like, at least the dragon gets what he's saying. I mean, he does have the spell, but he's just not gonna worry about it right now and hope that Sarge just picks up on shit.
I just wanted to clarify. So
yeah,
your various beasts, from the exotic to the underdark to the trained mimic, the little menagerie of druidic companions you picked up along the way of this adventure, they kind of stare. While, of course, you know Chevy understands you. You're uncertain how much Junior and Sarge are able to pick up, but after a moment you can feel the mimic shield around your arm tighten, and Sarge, unable to speak to you directly, but gives you a kind of little kind of wave of the shoulders and bumps their head against your leg.
He's just toss some treats and like, well, I'll be back real soon, and you got nothing to worry about. And I'll make sure you're taken care of in the meantime till I am back, however long that takes. Y'all be good.
No promises.
Well, I mean, Junior, you're coming with me, so I don't want to hear that from you. You remember to use the shitting corner. We'll have Tails clean that up later. What do y'all think teleportation's for?
Pocket dimension, baby. Hey, Ron, what are you doing?
Well, I like to. I know I've compared Ivron jokingly to a Boy Scout, but I think in this he very much is always prepared. So he's planned to leave this place even before he set out the invitations. So it's as quick as just like looking at Yao and being like, "Are you coming?" And all of his gear is set. With that in mind, I think he would spend the rest of his time looking for the rulers and delegates and trying to catch them before they leave or go their separate ways, to conclude in the delegation, but also to form a new war council to make sure that everything is set for the oncoming battle ahead, and logistics are planned out accordingly.
Okay. As you extend your offer to Yao, as per the norm, Yao has never been the most expressive of the party's companions. Typically very steely, straightforward, to the point. But in this moment, telepathic connection or no, Yao doesn't respond directly. They simply lock eyes with you in a steely, hard gaze, and you just know that you would have to lock Yao in a cage to keep them away from this, and even then they'd probably find a way out. After all, it was hard enough containing him the first time.
I would say that Ivron does bow and respectfully, and says, "Thank you, Great One."
To find the delegates and royals. They're not particularly hard to find, although you are pleasantly surprised. The Empress, the Duchess, the Sultan, and Lady Unvile are working together, gathering up the crowds of panicked people, calming them, and with their leaders being there with them and seeming to be maintaining a sense of calm and control of the situation, is easing the minds of those who are not familiar with the sanctum. And you can imagine, on top of everything else they're dealing with today, the Silver Sanctum just on its own is a tough enough thing to be asked to deal with.
Oh yeah.
But the royals appear to be making the best of it as they can. Although, as they see you approaching, the Empress and Lady Unvile step forward to approach you, and both giving you a courteous bow. Lady Unvile, with her hands together, and as she looks at you, you get the impression that despite there being a sense of camaraderie and like shared, like they need to work together to survive, like she's not looking at the Empress, she's not talking to her. Like there's definitely that sense of like they still don't like each other. They're just like working together because they don't have an alternative. So with that, Lady Unvile, without even so much as a glance to Lady Amelia, just gives, after giving you her bow. So, what happens now? We can't simply cower down here until the creature finishes its rampage. There'd be nothing left.
No, indeed, Your Grace. If it is all right with you, the rest of you as well, I would say that the time for cooperation and working together has come nigh. Probably sooner than we expected, but if I'm not mistaken, this has just become a war council. We must discuss what is to come and how we are going to face this threat together.
I must return to Amelia City. My people were at the beast's feet whenever it awoke.
Is that wise, Your Majesty?
I cannot simply leave them to their fate, Lord. Lord Blackmont, I respectfully refuse to sit idly by any longer. It is my fault that the beast was below my people's feet. It is my responsibility to protect them, get them to safety.
I cannot fault you there. You will do as you must, Your Majesty. But know that we here are coming to your aid. Lady Onvile, Duchess, Sultan, if I may be so bold, I think it is time to muster what forces you can, without leaving your holds defenseless, of course.
Aye. He looks to the other rulers, almost kind of checking to see how they're reacting, but presses onward without waiting for a confirmation. From what I heard, you intend to make your way to the desert, aye?
This is true. Our party has business that we must conclude in order to thoroughly take down our enemy.
The snow. Whatever it is that's freezing my desert. Aye?
Yes.
Then I shall accompany you. I need to return to Azar and muster my forces.
As you say, Your Eminence.
Duchess. Yes? Return to Terminus and rally your people. With all due respect, Sultan Haidar, my people aren't fighters. Nobody is until you put a sword in their hands and an enemy on the other side.
Know that they will have the courage if they see you, their leader, hold up to what is right. And Iran will place his hand once again on her shoulder and cast heroism.
As mentioned, Duchess Undaria is a young ruler, and her rise to power was fraught with trauma and difficulty, her face still bearing the scars of the plague that took her family from her and put her into a position of power that she feels she has not earned, and perpetually uncertain if her people so much as respect her, let alone would be willing to follow her. This is why she refused to take part in the war. After all, what army would follow her, she believed. But with your encouraging words and a bit of heroism, the young gnomish girl looks up to you. Her eyes kind of, it's faint, but you can see that very slight sparkle of life return to the eyes as your spell. And she kind of postures, steels herself, and very well. I'll return to Terminus, and I'll make them listen. I may not have the same capability for speech as Mr. Tenniel, but I'm still their Duchess. And I will make them follow me. And she looks to the Empress and gives a bow. Hold Amelia City, and we will be there to reinforce you as soon as we can.
It
would be an honor.
All right. I say that we before marching on Amelia City, rally our forces to one location.
I was going to say the same, Barrow Lord Blackmont. I may be responsible for a lot of our current difficulties, but fortunately that means I am privy to things that Lord Els may not have given me the credit to remember. Amelia City may have been ground zero for the priest's awakening, but I know where Lord Els is going next.
He's going to Veilbright.
He plans to consolidate his forces there. Whatever it is he's hoping to accomplish, he believes it's in Veilbright. And wherever he goes, the priest is likely to follow.
It will be difficult considering the surrounding area is still a salt flat.
They'll see us coming from miles away. Won't exactly have the element of surprise.
Perhaps we have made some progress on that front. A thought for later down the line, if not at all. But Veilbright should be where we go next.
You can see the Duchess kind of squirming a little bit, like her eyes darting around, and the Sultan kind of smirks a little bit and, "Speak, Lady Ondaria." My people are mostly gnomish, and we're quite talented illusionists, if I say so myself. If we can rally our forces in the fleeting forest to the south, perhaps my forces can use illusion magic to disguise our forces until we are at Veilbright's walls.
Ron gives her a flashing smile and a wink. Like, good job. Look at you go.
She kind of puts her hands together in a kind of embarrassed smile, and the Empress gives a smile and a nod. Indeed, it would be an honor to fight alongside such courageous gnomes and halflings. Very well. Rally your forces, Lady Ondaria. I will reinforce Amelia City, and once I've confirmed that Lord Els has left the city, I will bring a battalion to join yours in the fleeting forest. Sultan Hadar, can we count on you to join us? Of course, your ladyship. Once my land's no longer a frozen wasteland, it'll be far easier to march my kin across the sand and get there with all haste. And all eyes turn to Lady Unvile, who's been watching this all unfold with a kind of neutral, kind of distant expression. And looking to everyone, eyes on her, she kind of smirks and... Well, it appears we're all working together. I know our people have wronged you, Lady Unvile, and I do not ask your forgiveness, but I would ask your aid. This was your land before it was ours, and your people are in just as much jeopardy as ours. Can we not set aside our differences to fight off an opponent we share? Very well. Unlike you, my people do not require illusion magic to withstand forces like these. We are no stranger to mad wizards trying to enforce their will on us. We will march from the north, offer a distraction to ensure that your little illusory ploy goes off without a hitch. Is this amendable, Barrow Lord Blackmont?
Quite. I do think so. And if
What
we are
is
all
this?
in agreement, perhaps we should appoint a High Marshal.
At this, there's another air of uncertainty. You can tell it's that feeling of everyone suspects they are the most qualified, but doesn't want to be the first to voice it. However, after a moment, Duchess Undaria speaks up first. Well, seeing as you are no longer a captain for the investigation agency, would it not be most appropriate for you to act as our marshal, captain?
Well,
Ivron, oh no, oh no! I didn't realize.
I just
Not
got rid of my
responsi-
badge.
More
Not
responsibility!
responsibility.
Ah!
How
Uh,
did
Again.
this happen to
How the
me?
tables have tabled.
I think Ivron would graciously bow, and without Gaheris in the room for him to point to and be like, "That's the guy you want," he'll graciously accept the appointment. But I do represent the forces of the Barrowade, who they themselves are on their way. My armies are not here. Perhaps there is any of you willing to negotiate to assist in the transport of my forces.
Again, they all kind of look to each other for only a moment, but the Sultan pipes up. I have a fleet of ships to the south, mostly for mercantile purposes. I can ensure your people get here safe and get to the meeting point without any trouble. I fought off worse.
I'm most appreciative to you, Sultan.
And I to you, Bower Lord.
There is but one other thing. And Evron would go on to explain that this war is not just one of mortal kind, but divines are playing their hand in it. And he would ask that if the divines are going to, if our enemy is going to have a divine on his side, perhaps they should call upon a war goddess themselves. So he'd ask that just throw it out there and have those of their people give tribute and prayer to Andraste.
At this, the Empress, her eyebrows kind of shoot up, and you can see the others kind of all look to each other as well. Worship of Andraste has been illegal in these territories for decades. Centuries now.
I do understand that it is probably much to ask of you, for the interpretation of this war goddess is one of fear and sacrifice.
Her worshippers were madmen, cultists, sacrificing in blood to their heathen god. What makes you think she can be trusted?
I am her son, born upon this earth by her very hand. And as far as my record shows, have I spilt any blood wrongfully? I believe that my purpose here on this earth is not only to solve this problem, to fight our enemy, but to restore her to her proper place, not as some bloodthirsty queen, but rather that of a true form. But what mother wouldn't be a bloodthirsty queen should her loved ones be threatened and harmed? She's a goddess whose wrath is beyond measure, of course, but so too can her kindness and mercy be of equal power. She can bring us to victory.
If what you say is true, that our enemies have gods on their side, then I suppose it's not like things can get any worse.
Make no mistake, I do
I
not
would
ask
agree.
that you sacrifice any lives to her, but perhaps there is another form of tribute you could give.
How do we do it? How do we worship her?
And Braun would go through probably some of the rituals that he knows of via his religious background and his proficiency. Burning a red candle, not hunting Volpertingers, decreeing that they're sacred. There's a vast many things that they could do, so long as they're not sacrificing human beings, I guess is or beings the play races, I guess.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
And you can see Lady Unval looks a little amused at the correction, but that's certainly amendable. I've done more for less. But do you think if we call upon this Andrasta, she will truly answer?
I believe it, yes. Pray to her to defend your people. Pray to her to preserve your warriors. Even usher you into peace and love, and even the easing of childbirth for your women folk. She is, after all, the unconquerable. So I do again ask that you pray to her for victory, and you will see she will answer your call.
The rulers all kind of look to each other, and the Empress steps forward first. My companion often spoke very highly of her. And if he would put his faith in her, and you would, then I see no reason to doubt. Let the candles be lit, and we will pray to Andrasta for victory. Duchess Undaria nods, and I can find some candles. All right. I hope you don't mind me throwing in a few prayers of my own. I have ongoing dealings that I would hate to muddy the waters of, understand? And he kind of runs a finger along his tentacled tattoos.
Ibron nods and yeah, I think I got it. I'm not going to say anything, but got you, bro.
Well, we are all in agreement then. We'll return to our homes, pray to the higher Lady Blackmont for victory and protection, and rally our forces in Valebright, where, if your word can be trusted, Amelia, the priest will be making its way to the Scaling Mountains at the call of its master. There's something else. He never went into detail on what it was, but I overheard him occasionally. The priest wasn't what he was after. The priest is merely a stepping stone. Yeah. Whatever he's really after is in Valebright. I don't know what it is, or who it is.
At the mention of this, Ibron looks grim, like maybe he knows what they're after, but says nothing, and draws the barrel blade, and says, Then it is official. War has been declared. I make this vow that I shall not sheathe this blade until it is over, or the oath bearer finished.
The Empress, as most of them had not brought weapons to this meeting for obvious reasons, but the Empress steeples her fingers together and agreed. The Duchess, again, shifting a little nervously, but gives a nod. Agreed. The Sultan holds out their tattooed arm, and you watch as water begins to swirl, forming a blade in their hand, which they rest upon their shoulder. This blade covered in barnacles and seawater, as they give a smirking smile. Aye. And Lady Unvile licking their lips with a forked tongue, and you can just faintly see the pointed draconic teeth beneath the hag visage. Agreed. Utaka, as Geharis
Hey.
allows you into their nightmare dominion. I think it's obviously safe to assume that we've long reached past the point where Basil is going to rake you over the coals for payment for his items.
I mean, there's a list of stuff I'd be willing to trade.
So with that said, what armor are you going to pick up while you're here?
I mean, depends on what he's got available, but ideally, he was able to get me an what is it called? A mithril splint before. I would be looking for some sort of medium armor. Haha.
Okay.
Like a nice breastplate, or hell, if he's got a half plate around.
Griaz bought that off of him once. Also, Griaz does have like +1 studded leather that he just still has.
I think I
Nope?
might
Okay.
be able to do better than that. We'll see.
Okay, that's good. Give him a bugbear hand-me-down armor. That's fine.
I don't think it would fit.
It's magic. It fits.
Okay, fine.
Basil is selling mithril half plate, if that's acceptable.
Yes, that would be acceptable. That's a term I would use for that.
All right, and and all the items you sent are ones you said you'd be willing to trade.
Yep.
As you show him the items that that you have on you, you can see his eyes are immediately drawn to the dagger of blind sight, and he stares at it for a long moment. However, Geharis, you remember your conversation you had with him, that he wants desperately to get out of the weapons business, and this party may be the only chance he has with the end of this war on the horizon. So, despite visibly hesitating, he turns his gaze to the rest of your items, and I'll take your decanter and ring, and we'll call it square.
Sounds good. You're the best. Anyone ever sell you that? I'm gonna tell you that right now.
I could stand to hear it once or twice.
Harris,
And-
back me up here.
I think that it is very well known that I already said and know that Basil is the best. It is.
Basil's the best.
He pushes the armor towards you, Taka, and might be a bit loose on you, made for people of a bit broader stature, but I suspect you'll make it work.
And obviously he can take the mithril splint too.
Which,
I can't use that.
yeah, he takes and kind of giving it a look over. Lightly used, but I'll find something to do with it. And he kind of just shoves it into the pile of magic items, which, again, have lost their magical properties in this domain for the time being. And he looks to the two of you and, well, get back safely.
That is always the plan.
I make no promises.
Oh, and Geharis, I hope I've more than made up for our awkward first impressions.
That, and 1,000 times more. You have been nothing but gracious and kind. And I shall see you on the other side when I can tack on Dragon Slayer to the end of my name.
Good luck.
I'll keep him alive.
Thanks. Oh, and if you should happen to come across my family out in the forest, they can pack up and move. I made sure of that, but if you happen to run into them, make sure they get somewhere safe and that they know I'm still looking out for them.
And these are the swamp gnomes?
Yeah, the swamp gnomes you ran into are his family.
Harris, I will reach inside my bag for a second, and pull out the honeydew that I got from them. I'm just gonna set it down and be like, They gave it to us when we stumbled upon them last time.
One last thing. You don't happen to have like 3,000 gold worth of gems, just like diamonds lying around?
I'm afraid I misplaced that in my other pocket dimension.
Ah, fuck. Happens all the time. You know anyone who would?
I just might.
I think you'd make a pretty powerful friend if you can help me out there. And it ain't me. More powerful than me. For now.
That tells me little to nothing, thank you.
Wow, fuck you too. Anyway, can you help?
I know a guy. You need gems. That many gems. You wouldn't happen to be passing by Smythe anytime soon, would you?
Yeah.
A friend of mine runs a casino there. Might be able to convince him to part with a few things.
Okay, everything I know about him, he might like this. And I will flash the dagger that Basil passed over.
And, sorry, one more time we're talking? Just got it. A little fuzzy
From
on
what
my
I
end.
know about him, he might like this, and I flashed the dagger that Basil passed over.
He very well might. Tell him I said hi when you run into him.
Alright, we'll do.
Have a wonderful evening, Basil. As they say, time is finite right now, so I will see myself up, and I will head out.
Don't leave me in here! That's who Taka's gonna...
Shut the nightmare and be like, don't know where Utaka went.
Yeah,
Basil and Utaka, don't know. No idea. Stuck in a no magic zone. No, I will, I'm just gonna head out of the building.
or way, yeah.
Head to the meeting
I
zone.
will make my way out too. On the way to the meeting zone, last thing I need to do before we go, I would like to cast Sending to Regina.
Okay.
Hey, Vol, you okay? You know, everything happened. Didn't get crushed by no rocks or anything.
Taka, it's good to hear your voice. I'm alright. Just hungry and itchy.
I will cast Sending again. What, like before?
Yes, I think it has something to do with the storm.
I will cast Sending again.
Yeah, we can assume again. We can
Okay,
assume
okay,
it's just going back and forth.
Okay, got you. Can you get back to Vermin Hollow? I'll come and get you when I can.
There's a pause, and you get the impression that Regina's kind of fighting with herself on the matter. And you initially worry that she's falling back into her old habits of just not wanting to go to Vermin Hollow. But eventually she speaks up, and her thought process actually surprises you. Amelia City, I can see it from here. That thing on the mountain, it's... Shouldn't I do something?
Not alone. You stay safe. We gotta go to a couple places, but if you can find somewhere to hide, we'll be there to deal with it soon.
All right, fine. I'll stay in the church with the halflings. Just get back to me safe.
Deal.
Israel, as you wait outside of the temple, one by one, Griez, Geharis and Utaka, and finally Ivron arrive. the preparations made, and the final leg of your journey ready to begin.
Mm-hmm. She gets off the phone with her family because that's what she was doing while she sat there waiting. She sent to them, gave them the spiel and how to stay safe and such. But so she is ready along with the rest.
Yeah, which I will say, hearing from your family, they have no idea what's going on, like, because the storm isn't even reaching that far yet. So, like, they're understandably concerned at the report, but after constant insistences that you'll be safe, they allow you to get off the magical phone, so to speak. Although your mother does demand that you call her back as soon as this is all said and done.
Okay, my mother is dead, but my older sister probably would do the same, or my father. But yes, she also informs them how to basically deal with it if it does get near to them. Of like, you know, hide in the cellar, like when the big storms come. Like, you know the tornado drills?
Tornado warning.
Exactly, like that kind of thing is probably what it's closest to. And if anyone's magic starts going awry, just try and use up as much of it as possible, and as painlessly as possible.
All right. As the rest of the party arrives, once everyone is gathered, as if on cue, Tails appears in the center, again looking kind of haggard and rough, circles under the eyes, and kind of visibly exhausted. And are all the preparations made? I've gotten as many people to safety as I can. I don't know what's going to happen from here, but just in case things don't go according to plan, good luck, and thank you.
Thank you, Tails.
They're just like the rest of us now. I got no idea what's going to happen. It's novel. Enjoy it. It's fun. It's like a mystery.
I'll see you on the other side. And with a wave of the mage hand, you all disappear. When your vision returns, it's more or less instantaneous, but you're immediately overwhelmed by freezing cold, surrounded on all sides by snow and ice. You have been transported to the center of the Arrowhead Desert. In the distance, you can still see the Hydra Mountains and the massive priest circling them. An intense blizzard rages around you, as whether it's an effect that the priest is having on Kenny's magic, or possibly just the storm the priest is creating is just turning into a blizzard in the unnatural cold down here. The snow, Israel, you instantly kind of sink into it, and you can feel it comes easily up to your shins. It's got to be like easily like half a foot of snow, possibly even deeper. You don't know where snow stops and sand begins. Looking around, you see nothing but an expanse of white and freezing cold, and Tails did not appear to have gone with you in this teleportation. The five of you are out in the freezing tundra, alone.
Ivron will cast Rory's telepathic bond or whatever to link everybody up. That way, if they get lost in the blizzard or somehow get out of the desert, they'll still be able to communicate. And then he will offer, Israel, my dear sister, would you care to ride on Yao?
Please. and she's going to get up on the first steed she can, quite honestly, and she is passing out the scarves, cloaks, etc. that she gathered, and just like throwing them at people.
Mhm.
For the
And I will say, as kind of a fun side note, that I didn't ask you to deduct any money because you did buy the party some winter clothes back during the Millennial March.
Seriously, I just went and got them.
So Israel tosses out to all of you the clothes that were purchased from the kindly frost troll you encountered on the Millennial March. And I believe some of them you also bought during the Winter Festival. And you pass out these scarves and parkas and thicker clothes. And I assume everyone puts them on unless otherwise stated. Does anyone object to donning some winter gear?
Oh no, but with much complaining about the state of affairs.
Yeah, that's too bad. Do you want to be a popsicle? No? Here. Helps wrap the scarf around Utaka's head.
While we're all getting fit and changed, I'll take 10 minutes to summon Naden. With wings.
Yeah.
With greater fine steed.
Okay.
Ibron will also jump on Valkyrie, who, with Yao and Lauren, came as well. So everyone should have a mount, or can be a mount. Sorry, Grizz.
And B, yeah. Grizz will, as everybody's kind of preparing, be like, yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. It wasn't always like this. Hopefully next time, not so much. Let's all just stay close and so we can get this all worked out. And then he's going to wild shape into a dire wolf. So he's done wolf before. He can do even bigger now.
Okay.
So additional mount should anyone need one.
Okay.
Horse-sized wolf.
Hey, big guy. You mind?
Was kind of nudged to hop up. He did not wild shape the scarf into him, so the scarf is still wrapped around.
Adorable.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds adorable, honestly.
And then we
he's
remember
he's
long
there for all
arms.
the Instagram thing. Yeah, especially long wolf, but still great for Instagram photos.
Exactly.
A little awkward for Utaka to climb onto, but
Kind of he'll bend at the knees, just like a little weird.
Go like
I don't think they're
bow-legged.
supposed to bend like that.
Yeah, no, the dogs ain't supposed to bend like that. Something wrong with that dog.
Israel, as you pass out the winter gear, Griaz, you wild shape into your Dawo form and allow Utaka, who's continuing to whinge about putting on winter clothes, climbs onto your back.
Cold.
Yeah, exactly. Incredibly upset about the cold and how it's a push in front of them.
All right, whinges about the cold itself then. Avron, you telepathically link the party once again, and Gaharis, with a small ritual as everyone changes, mounts, and telepathically links, you conjure up another portal to Nightmare, from which Naden emerges. However, now a pair of dark blackish red bat wings sprout from their back.
Oh, Nathan, I'm so sorry that I left you.
Preparations are made.
That I left you behind.
The creature just gives a low kind of shake of the head. The wisps of nightmarish smoke being left in its main wake, and it lets out that kind of, again, tea kettle whine that seems to echo endlessly across the tundra.
Well, we've been in a storm before. How do you think we best find Caldwell? Is it?
My guess would be the direction the storm is generally coming from. So she's actually going to look up to the sky and try and essentially ascertain the bearing of the storm, from what direction is it moving from and to.
Make a survival check, but at disadvantage, because with the blizzard, it's very difficult to...
And then add a d6 to it.
Hey.
As
Yeah,
Harris
D6.
goes, you got this. Keep up the good work.
All right. So.
Even you.
Let's see here. Where are my things?
That's my fiance guiding us.
Exactly.
You're like so proud.
Yeah.
As you should be.
Alrighty. So that plus a d6, you said?
Yep.
Woo! Alright. 17 plus 7 is 24.
Okay. Israel looking up at the sky, you can see the storm appears to mostly be moving in a kind of predictable pattern, but it's like kind of blending with the priest's storm. So it's hard to tell where the priest's influence starts and Kenny's begins. But as you kind of study the patterns of the wind and cold, you realize that while the falling snow is moving in a perpetual rotation as these massive storm clouds orbit around the priest and are beginning to thicken and darken further and further as thunder and lightning continue to flash over your heads, and you still get hit with these periodic surges of magic, you notice the cold itself is emanating from the north.
So confidently, she turns in the direction of north and goes that way.
Dare we use our magic?
Shouldn't we keep doing that?
Do I feel like I got the magic spell back from summoning Nathan?
Yes.
Okay.
Although it's on you notice the further away you get from the priest, the more of a delay it's on. It takes longer for the spell slots to recharge. But yes, you do get it back over the course of just the conversation and planning and whatnot.
I don't see a reason why we shouldn't. I've gotten all of the magic bags that I have used since we arrived.
It actually seems to improve things to at least keep using it. That way you won't get overloaded and sick.
Then I think Ivron is going to cast Freedom of Movement on... It doesn't give me a number of targets, and it's not a concentration spell. It just says a willing creature.
Well,
So
that'd be one, I think.
it'd be one.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in agreement to that? Okay, then whoever's leading this, he'll touch them on the shoulder and be like, have fun in the sun.
Cool. So that's going to be Israel. She'll go forth on Yao and lead the way with that bearing that she got.
Okay.
Matt, would you consider it to be a hidden path to get through this blizzard?
You know what? I'd be willing to negotiate it. Why?
Because I get advantage on survival checks for that.
You know what? I'll allow it.
Okay, cool.
Because I have a thing in mind that actually would be reasonable in that context. So.
Well, anytime that the path becomes confusing for Israel, I got a dirty 20 to help right us on the path.
Okay. Israel, since you have a bearing, although navigating through a blizzard is still difficult at the best of times, make me a survival check.
Riaz is also sniffing and listening out with both senses for anything out of the ordinary.
Make a perception check, but at disadvantage, as again the wind is making it hard to hear.
While we're walking, I'd like to cast Aid at 4th level on Utaka, Ivron, and Griaz.
Okay.
How much is that?
That is 15 temp HP, increases your HP max. And let's see. And then at one point, I will cast Death Ward on Israel by just like patting their hand.
Yeah. So
Okay.
what's Death Ward do?
If in the next 8 hours you fall to 0, instead you don't. You fall to 1.
Cool. Love that. Alrighty.
Love that for her.
And if the spell's still in effect and someone would subject you to an effect that would kill you instantaneously without dealing damage, The effect is instead negated, and then Death Ward ends.
Sick. All right, so got a nat 20, so that is 27.
And I had it was a flat roll because I have advantage and then disadvantage. And it was 23.
Okay. Gaharis, as you go around the group, passing along spells and assistance to anyone who needs them, and as Israel predicted, you get this feeling of almost relief as you ease off the magical buildup. And being this far away from the priest means it takes longer for it to build back up. You can actually feel that, like, you spend 2 spell slots on aid and Death Ward, and it takes about a minute, and then you get 1 back, but 1 is still expended, and you don't get that 1 back for another minute or 2. And it's like almost refreshing, like you're getting topped off rather than overloaded. And Israel, as you and Utaka begin to scout for a path, and Griaz, as you kind of cart Utaka through the snow, you keep your ears peeled. Israel, you have a bearing, but it all just looks like flat emptiness. But Utaka, as you kind of lean down and brush aside some of the snow that's beginning to build up, you know that it's only began to snow fairly recently as the storm kicked in. So you suspect there may be a hidden path if you know where to look. And sure enough, as you kind of sweep some of about a couple inches of the snow to the side.
I'll do it with like shape water while
Yeah.
I'm up on the Wolfmobile.
Yeah. You see that there are footprints leading northward, but giving you a more precise bearing. Between your ability to follow the prints and Israel's ability to navigate, follow a path, and keep you guys from wandering off and getting lost, you all begin to trudge your way through the snow. As you make your way across the frozen wasteland that was once the Arrowhead Desert, you can see that buried in the snow kind of periodically are what appear to be having once been animal skeletons that were just buried and forgotten, left out here in the desert, picked to the bone and buried now beneath sand and snow. However, the deeper you get and the closer to the lake you get, the bigger the animals' carcasses get. You go from your typical small prey animals to somewhat larger herbivores, and eventually Israel on the horizon, encircling what you presume was once a sand dune but is now a snowy, almost like it's a hill but so steep it could be a small mountain. You can see a dragon skeleton curled around the hill. And Utaka, you can just make out the faintest trace of light of a fire lit on the top of the hill. Someone or something is camping out up there. And Griaz, as you kind of sniff at the air and keep your ears peeled, you smell among the snow and rotting smell of the bodies. 2 things catch your attention: the smell of cooking meat and the sound of trudging footsteps through the snow. One on your left that sounds heavy set and sort of very patterned and predictable, what you would expect footsteps to sound like. But then on your right, you hear another set that sounds lighter and more disorganized. There will be the of a foot in the snow, but then this much stranger sounding, like as if something very thin entered through the snow instead of a foot. That's coming from your right, and both appear to be you'd estimate about 60 feet out and closing.
Okay.
No.
Since Israel always has speak with animals going on, he will kind of just convey that to her being the only one to really hear. So otherwise it kind of just sounds, I guess, like husky talk.
You know, we love that. Exactly, like that. I love that for him. And so immediately that prompts her to look in both directions. Does she see anything approaching at
Make a
60 feet? She's got like 120 feet of dark vision. So
But dark vision does not help you seeing through a blizzard. Make a perception check at disadvantage.
you know what? No, screw that. I've got 2 crits and 2 inspos sitting here. I'm gonna crit that. Get that.
Okay.
I don't need to roll for that.
Israel, as you're staring up at the dragon skeleton, wondering how it got here, what its story might be, Gaharis, you and Ivron just weapons at the ready, on guard, as Griaz just starts to kind of bark and howl at the front. Israel, you immediately tear your eyes away from the great dragon carcass and look to both sides, and you can see the light of lanterns. It appears there are patrols that are about to meet where you guys are. Whether they know you're here or not, you're not positive, but you're having a hard enough time seeing through the snow. You can't imagine someone less trained than you would be able to. But I will say with the nat 20, you also are able to see what Utaka saw, that campfire lit at the top of the hill, as well as several small thatch huts that appear to have been hastily constructed almost in the surrounding border of the dragon skeleton. So it's like the dragon skeleton, and then through the gap between the mouth and the tail where they kind of meet Ouroboros style, there's another border of the huts, and then the campfire in the center, which is all going uphill to the peak. And then, 2 figures with lanterns making their way towards you. The one on the left appears to be a much larger, more heavy-set figure. The one on the right, you notice, is kind of limping and appears to be very small and skinny.
All right. I report this to everyone. The lay of the land at current.
And the blizzard, which direction do you say it's coming from?
The source of the cold is to the north, and she points, I guess, up towards the campfire. Up there.
Then maybe we go and avoid them. Huh?
That sounds
Let's
like a
move
good
before
plan.
they spot us.
I'd like to divine sense.
Because they are.
Okay.
Are there any, celestial fiend or undead within 60 feet of us?
Other than what you expect to sense? No.
Okay. Well, I'll follow your lead. I've got
Isn't Coldwell expecting us? Perhaps this is his patrols. It may make it easier for us.
I don't get the feeling that Kenny plays well with others.
Let's go. And she's gonna urge Yao on to move a little faster to try and get out of these guys' easier periphery. So it's like, they'll see where we've gone, but by the time they even see us, they're not going to be able to catch up with us easily because we're all mounted and they are not.
Okay.
And we can all move faster in the snow than they can.
Everyone roll stealth.
Oh boy, at disadvantage. For me, anyways.
30.
All right, 30. You just vanish from space and time. All right, 30.
28. I also
Eight.
9!
I feel like Utaka just hides in the wolf fur. Just grabs a couple of fatty flaps and just.
That plus 6
19.
did not help me.
All right, 19, Ivron. Grias?
19.
Okay.
Disadvantage, 4.
Yeah! The under 10
I
squad.
mean, at least luckily enough, the 2 people who might be visible and attackable are in fact our tanks. So
That's true.
Good.
And are on flying mounts.
Exactly.
Yep.
They're fine. They're gonna be fine.
Just if you keep saying it, it'll become true.
We're gonna manifest this.
They're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine.
Could you yell at your fiance and future brother-in-law to maybe take to the skies so their loud asses don't alert people to our position?
You too.
Yes?
And she just like signals, like, go up. Flap.
There's a blizzard going on. If I fly up there, what happens if I suddenly go full speed and smash into the ground?
We also might lose each other.
You don't have to go high.
I'll meet at the campfire.
I think if Ron will look, because he rolled a 2 and he's not feeling himself today, he'll look at Harris and be like, I'll race you there.
You're on. On the count of 3.
2,
2, 3.
1. Go!
Go. Who wins?
Well, I think so. Given that's your mount, Harris, how fast is your mount? Ivron, how fast is yours?
I think it's the
They're-
I think it'd have the same stats.
They're the
Yeah,
same?
their stats
Okay,
are the same.
And in that
No.
case,
The two fastest things, a Pegasus and a nightmare.
No, because Gaharis has those shoes.
Oh, yeah.
So he goes faster.
Wait,
You're
does that,
right.
Does
Shoes on
that
Naden?
affect the mount?
Yeah, Naden has the horseshoes of
there's
speed.
a Zephyr.
Oh shit!
So, yeah, so,
Well, there you
Okay,
No,
I'll,
that
I'll
only
take-
increases the creature's
you put
walking
Nos
speed.
in your nightmare?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
okay.
only walking speed.
Okay, so
flying speed.
I'll tell you what. Both of you roll me athletics, and yeah, if the horseshoes of Zephyr only affect walking speed, then that
Okay.
doesn't apply here. So,
Sure.
yeah, both of you roll athletics for your mounts.
Also, it says so much that one of you said on the count of 3, and you both agreed on 2, but then one said 1 and the other said 3 at the end. That's great.
One was counting down, one was counting up. I love
It's
it.
the definition of Gaharis and Abram.
It's a
Yes.
dirty 20 for me.
Ivron?
Trying to pull up the.
But I do have a reaction if Ivron's roll beats mine. So...
Any bastard.
Of course you do. 23.
So I'd like to use silvery barbs, which lets me magically distract a creature and turn its momentary uncertainty into encouragement for another creature. So you need to roll me a d20, and you're going to take the lower roll of your 2.
Okay. What is anything just flat? Like,
Just a flat d20, and then you add your modifier to the roll.
You're just rolling at disadvantage.
Yeah, basically, I'm just forcing you to roll
which
at
which
disadvantage.
modifier?
Your athletics.
Oh, okay. So my athletics and not like
Yes.
the Pegasus athletic. Okay. That is a 6.
With your
Okay.
athletics added to it?
Yeah. yeah.
Okay. But also
Alright.
now I
If it's
have
in Ron.
advantage on my next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw within the next minute.
Okay. You all. Go on.
So I think there is a moment where Ivron it's like neck and neck, and Ivron pulls ahead, and in the moment Ivron turns slightly to like flash a cocky grin, I use the spell, and like this silver from his hair almost pulls out for a second as I tug it back, pulling myself forward at the last second.
All right. Gaharis, as you take off ahead, Ivron, you kind of like, stumble and like have to like tighten your grip on Valkyrie, and you're forced to come in for a clumsy and second place landing alongside Gaharis. As the rest of you, I presume, are watching incredulously, as rather than just hovering a little bit in the air like you guys have suggested, they just take off ahead of you. So Guriaz in your direwolf form and Israel on Yao are just forced to make your way up quicker. And Israel and Guriaz, having been the ones who were the most privy to the two guards that were on patrol, you can hear the one on the right, who was like skinnier and limping, belt out in what I will say, Guriaz, you recognize to be a very thick Underdark accent. Calls out in befuddlement, "Hey, there's something in the skies there!" and the footsteps behind you guys get significantly quicker and more hurried. As the two of them drew quite a bit of attention to themselves. And Gaharis, as you come in for your proud first place landing, and Ivron has to stumble in for second place behind you, you land in the campfire, surrounded on, not in, but like near it, and surrounded on all sides by the huts built on the sand dunes. Sat outside of each of which are massive, muscular figures in fur cloaks, wielding axes and swords and crossbows, who are staring incredulously, and there's like a tense pause before all of them like ready their weapons and level them at you. And
do I have time for a split-second response?
Yeah.
Hello, I am Gaharis. Wonderful weather we are having.
Again, they're fairly startled. And Ivron, is there anything you'd like to say? Because given that you just kind of landed big flying mounts in the center of their camp while a blizzard's going on and there's a scary dragon on the loose, they seem kind of on edge and they seem to assume you're hostile.
I think Ivron's just more. I think he's like, Harris cheated. But as soon as he sees these people, he's like, "Oh, hello."
One of the barbarians leveling their crossbow at you, Gaharis. Again, he's this kind of big, like scary-looking dude. Thick red beard and heavy fur coat and horned helmet on their head as they level their crossbow at you. And what business do you have in our camp, Gaharis?
We are looking for the source of this blizzard so we can put a stop to it. As you know, there is a giant dragon on the loose, and we are serving the Sultan to assist in fighting that.
You can see the figures all look to each other.
I'll make a persuasion check if they need it.
Yeah, make a persuasion check.
Sure. 15 plus 11, 26.
The man kind of lowers his crossbow a little bit, and I'll say at this point, Israel, Utaka, and Griazu catch up, crossing the threshold of the dragon skeleton and the huts to reach the center of camp, where Gaharis and Ivron are surrounded on all sides by very upset-looking barbarians. But after a kind of moment of pause, the man with the crossbow lowers it, and hang on a minute. Elf, water, silver, blue. I'm guessing you're the fuzzy one. The boss is expecting you.
Yeah, that tracks.
Sounds about right. Where is Kenny?
Boss! The Goldshiners are here.
It's a little inaccurate, actually.
Yeah, also, can you not whistle? Because that's really hard on my ears. Just...
Yeah, could you just not that again? It's really hard on, and she like gestures to the ears. She's like, you look at the poor thing.
At this point,
like pause over the ears, sad face.
Yeah, he's trying to kick at him with his back leg, but like realizes that Utaka's up there and is kind of like flopping.
At this point, the footsteps that you guys had heard in the snow have caught up to you, and as they step into the firelight, you're able to actually see them better. You can see the skinny one. It appears to be a kind of short, hunched, kind of malnourished and skinny-looking halfling with this blondish, almost yellow hair that's like kind of auburn red at the tips. And you can see one of their legs appears to be missing and replaced with a very crude peg leg prosthetic. And they are missing the arm on the same side, which has a much more advanced looking prosthetic arm, likely magical in nature. But as he comes to a stop and gives a there's intruders in the skies. Yeah, we got that.
Hello?
And the much heavier sounding footfalls that you had heard, Griaz, steps in behind him, and you see it's a massive orc man with his almost like power lifter build, like looks fat, but you can tell it's all muscle, covered in tattoos similar to what the Sultan has, and wielding a nasty serrated looking hook in one hand. And this orc kind of looks down at you, and the bearded man pipes up again. The boss is expecting him. Follow me. What's your business?
I'm gonna hop off my mount. Hey, we gotta, like, talk to him. First of all, Goldshiner's really not applicable. We kind of parted ways with them. Anyway, hope Kenny's doing alright. Last we talked, he was a little, but...
We are on his invitation.
Yeah.
We have news that I believe Kenny would like to hear from us. And I would really hate to be the individual who stalled us from such important information. You know how he is.
Besides, he's got all of you. You don't need to worry.
The orc camp back to you guys, and then finally just waves their head and without saying a word just starts stomping and seems to just expect you to follow as he heads actually back the way you guys had come, a little further down the dunes.
Reminds me of Titanus.
That is very true. I wonder if Titanus has a browser.
He leads you all a bit further down the dune, although he does eventually branch off from the path you guys have taken to get into camp, specifically towards the massive skull of the dragon, which rests near its tail. I'll say, Israel, being a professional in this, you actually recognize the position the skeleton is in. A dragon would only have died curled like this if it was either killed in its sleep or was protecting its nest and was taken out by either the weather, the environment, or possibly some kind of spell. And the orc takes you to the massive skull, and you see up at the top, sitting atop the skull, is Kenny Caldwell. Unlike before, where he was donned head to toe in winter gear, given that he's completely in the snow now and most of these people likely know what his powers are, he sees no need to hide himself. He's completely shirtless and wearing just a very simple pair of leather pants below the waist. Although he does have a set of those like spiked boots to help him through the snow. And
He doesn't
Israel...
have an Elsa dress? I'm sad for him. He didn't have the cold doesn't bother me anyway moment.
And Israel, as you look up at him, you can see that with him being shirtless, you had gotten glimpses of it when you first met him in Salemo, but you can all see it much more clearly now. His skin is dark blue, as if frostbitten, and his eyes, no longer hidden beneath the visor, are sunken, and his lips are dark blue and frozen and chapped, and his head appears to be completely bald. And the orc just looks up at him, looks back to all of you, and doesn't like to be disturbed much.
I'm sure he'll get over it. Hey, Kenny!
Riaz will revert from his direwolf form and just go trudging right up to Kenny.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah. I'm
Hey.
just gonna fly up.
loser.
All right,
If Griaz wants on, Griaz can have on.
here is.
Is he walkable too?
Yeah, it would take a bit of scaling, but you can climb the skull if you wish.
I'm gonna
No,
climb.
hop on. Sure, we'll hop on Naden. Yeah.
I'll climb.
Okay.
Exactly. Israel and Utaka have a little race as they go 3, 2, 1 and try and climb up it.
Sure.
Yes.
You want to acrobatics with me?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. While they're rolling, Avron, how are you getting up?
Oh yeah, no, everyone's still on Val, so he's just gliding up.
I'll race you. As I won so well last time, I will, agree out here. It's about to leave in time.
Everyone lifts the faceplate of his helmet. He's like, no.
And acrobatics from the two of you?
27.
29.
Okay.
So you
I
like
got plus 13. I'm
out.
sorry.
no, it's you like eke out that win, but they are neck to neck the whole way up.
Okay. Griaz, you hop onto Naden, and Gaharis flies the two of you up. Avron on Valkyrie, no longer racing, just trying to get where you need to go. Fly up to the crest of the dragon skull. And Utaka and Israel, you start to climb up, scaling the jaws and teeth and eye socket to get up. And while the two of you are neck and neck, and Israel, you're, elvish blood, you're very graceful. Utaka, you are able to just barely make it to the top, as while Israel has very natural grace. You're practiced with parkour and scaling things. It's different than a building, but the fundamentals are there.
Kind of spin around at the top like, ha ha!
And she's just like, I'll get you next time.
Sure you will. Hey, Kenny.
Yeah. It's like, what up?
The five of you, as you astride your mounts, gather at the top of the dragon skull. Kenny doesn't even seem to react initially until eventually he reaches into his pocket and pulls a cigar free and lights
Griaz
it.
will produce flame. Just kind of hold it in front of his face.
He kind of looks up to you, seeming a little suspicious, but lights his cigar in your flame and pockets his lighter and placing the cigar in his mouth. You kind of, Griaz, you trace his gaze and you can see he's just staring at the priest as it circles the distant mountains. And we're going to take a break there.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, we will be back in 10 to 15 minutes. Get some water, get a snack, grab a friend. Who knows? Now's the perfect time to touch base with someone and say, hey, I love you. I like the cut of your jib. But we'll be back soon. Don't go anywhere. We'll get to talk to our favorite Freezy boy very soon. So, we'll be right back. And we're back. I hope you didn't miss us too much, and I hope you got some water, because I know I did. Look at that. Ooh.
Showing off our water drinking proficiency.
One of these days, we should cycle it so one person takes a sip, and as you finish, the next person goes, and we just do a roulette of water.
Oh yeah, water. The thing I'm definitely...
Yes. I mean, if it was Budweiser, I'd say mostly water.
Nope, we're in Texas. This is Lone Star.
Mine's water, but I have a Captain America koozie, so I'm drinking freedom.
The slogan of Lone Star, the beer, which I've never seen before I moved here, is the national beer of Texas.
The national beer.
Hey, no, actually, Texas was its own nation, which is the only reason that the Texas flag can be legally flown at the same height as the United States flag. Trivia. You learned something.
Okay, I'll give you that. That's fair.
I mean, Vermont was its own country. Does that count?
Well, Vermont was not its own country.
It's tried several times and it's failed. Okay. No one gives a shit.
That has to be its own campaign. We don't have time.
I currently live in Washington. Trust me, I am fully in support of the Cascadian secession movement. But that's a whole nother thing.
As you all stand together on the dragon skull, Kenny sits kind of in that, like, just sitting, arm on the knee kind of posture, and a light trail of smoke beginning to emanate from the cigar. And as before, and it hadn't occurred to you, Gaharis, whenever you first met the man, but you realize that their smoking habit may be an effort to disguise the fact that even in this freezing cold, you can still see the slight fog of their breath, and it kind of blends with the smoke in a way that if you weren't looking for it would seem very natural. But after a moment of just staring as Amelia City burns and the priest circles around it and the Hydra Mountains crumble and crack, Kenny just stares and... Whatever you're gonna do, just make it quick.
What, like, we're not here to hurt you.
Okay. Really unreasonable, but we have reason to believe that you won't be.
If we wanted you dead, this is hardly how we go about it. We want to give you a chance to help.
You know, I thought that seeing this happen would make me feel better.
And I'm assuming that it doesn't.
Can't say that it does, no.
So, can we talk? I mean, we're friends. Maybe not friends, but, like, I tried to be your friend. Anyway, I'm gonna sit and, like, settle down, kind of a cup, like, 2 feet away from him. Oh, fuck, it's cold here. Anyway, you told your friends down there, nice group you got, that we're Goldshiners. That's not really up to date. We kind of parted ways.
Any particular reason?
Fun fact. Your leader and the Goldshine's leader were the same person the whole time. Fucking with all of us.
Kenny, I'll look over to the city. Would your sister have wanted this? Especially knowing her killer is the same person that we're after.
I don't know. Thanks to... Well, you're not with them anymore. Why'd you leave?
Because they were fucking us from both ends. And that's not really great.
Non-consensual.
So long story short, Lord Joran Els, your wheel. both gave you your powers and then took them away by orchestrating the death of your sister and numerous others to create the situation we are now all in as part of a grandiose, stupid-ass plan to bring peace through violence.
You got it used, Kenny. And at the end of it, you're not even happy with it.
We got used to.
Because it kind of sucks being a pawn.
And that's why.
So what we're here to do is to buck this trend, collect those that we can find that also don't like this state of affairs, and confront the Lord who thought that he could do this to all of us without consequence.
You know, whenever he first found me, found both of us, we didn't care what it was he wanted. I didn't give a shit about any of this. The wheel, world peace, the war. It doesn't matter. None of it mattered. I was just tired of having to fight to scrape by. I was tired of having to steal every meal. Now I'm just more tired than I ever was. It's freezing fucking cold. I can still feel it. My skin goes numb. And he takes his cigar and crushes it in his hand. And you can see it visibly burning his fingers, but he doesn't react.
Hey, Ivron, you still got that ring?
Oh, the ring of warmth.
Ron clutches his chest and after a moment rips the chain off and tosses it to Utaka, looking away all grumpily.
Kenny, we know how to take away the powers.
Tucker's gonna slowly just reach over and put the ring in front of Kenny. Just hold it out in front of him.
You don't have to freeze anymore. You don't have to be out in the cold. But you see that big fucking dragon? People come to war for all sorts of reasons. Some because they're bored at home, thought it might look fun. Some because, well, honestly, they're too ashamed not to. Some join war because it's the right thing to do. And one thing's for certain, we have all seen people die. We are forming an army. A different kind of army. We have the armies of the undercommon, of the common, aligned for the first time in thousands of years. Not to fight for land or power or because a king leads them, or because they like killing. We're here to set everyone free. Now, you can sit out here and you can wallow. You can pretend that it's going to just go away. Or you can stand up on your own 2 feet and you can join us and kill a big fucking dragon. When all this is over, you can return to some sense of normalance. I can't bring back the dead, but we both can help save the living. Now, I'm not going to try and convince you anymore. Because honestly, we don't have that luxury of time.
Can I correct you there for a second?
Oh, feel free.
We can bring your sister back,
I can't.
but I can.
That long dead? Like, even Israel's looking down, like, are you sure? Are you positive?
It's expensive.
Glad you need a body.
Nope.
True resurrection.
Should be possible. You help me get there, I'll help you.
You, blue guy. I didn't get the chance to ask him while you were still dragging him around in a cage. Why'd you let Tenniel live?
Because everyone deserves a second chance if they're willing to make amends. Tenniel was taken advantage of, just like many of you. And I'm not in the habit of killing someone who's going to try and take their best step forward and try to make a better world. Those are the people that I choose to put my trust in.
You sound just like her. You know, I had it all worked out in my head. It all made sense. If you had taken my offer, come here when I called, I wondered what was taking you so long. Guess that explains it. Found this treasure trove buried beneath Azar. I was gonna offer to escort you all down there if you were willing to split the profits with me and seal you all down there to die slowly.
I don't think that would have worked either.
Do you see, we've been sealed down underground in terrible places before, and it didn't work out for the terrible place.
It was worth a shot. Figured that didn't work. You would just kill me afterwards, and
We didn't kill her. Don't gotta kill you. Take the ring. I'm still holding it in front of him.
what is it?
Just try it on.
As he slides the ring of warmth on, is it an attunement item?
Yeah. I don't know that.
It is, yeah.
He slides the ring on and looks it over. Shiny piece of jewelry. Don't see what difference it makes to me.
Wait, it's not doing anything. Ivron, how the fuck does this thing work?
Bend your mind to wanting to attune to it. If you so choose to be worn.
I don't know if they kept it. I don't know if you guys read her file. Whenever they gave us these abilities, she got the opposite of me. Everywhere she walked in this desert, she turned the sand to glass. The air around her melted and distorted. She always said that she was too pretty to look directly at. Of course, that didn't stop the archers.
Archers, huh? So was she buried?
I don't know. She told me to run. Said that she would hold them off. And I never saw her again. For all I know, that bastard took it back down into that cursed city under the lake and experimented on what was left of her.
It's our place now.
Is it? I bet he's not happy about that.
We didn't keep the old name.
You're really willing to put your trust in me after everything I was willing to do to you.
It goes both ways, bud.
What's the plan when this is over? War ends, everything goes back to normal, everyone eats cupcakes and rainbows all day? That more or less the idea?
Let me tell you, if I could eat a rainbow, I would have done it by now. Ain't nothing gonna be normal at the end of this. We're all gonna have to find our new normal. You want to stay like this? You're right. You want to change back? You want to change to something else? We'll do our damnedest to figure that out. But you ain't got to be alone through all of it. As long as something's still standing at the end, well, a little bit of hope's left to it.
This doesn't have to be your one only choice.
When was the last time you made a choice just for you, Kenny? Something tells me it's been a mighty long time.
I honestly can't remember. Even long before all of this, I went out and stole because she was hungry, and the only work we could get was in the army, and neither of us wanted that.
You've been
So-
reacting your whole life. It's time to take an action. Make the first move. You're not a pawn anymore.
He looks up at all of you, the sunken, exhausted eyes of someone who has pushed themselves for who knows how long on nothing but rage and a determination for vengeance. And now that it's in their hands, it's unsatisfying. It doesn't complete them. And the prospect of another source of potential completion, something that can actually grant them peace, it's tempting. He looks down for a moment and, what do you fancy your odds? That thing's massive and, from what Elle's always told us, powerful.
At least 50-50.
I'm shit at math.
Even if we do die, it's going to die from our actions regardless. But that's with the 5 of us. With you, I don't see any of us dying that day.
What the heck? He puts his hands on his knees and slowly stands up and kind of dusts some of the snow off of his pants. And what happens to me after, assuming I survive? Throw me in a cell?
Whatever you want, dude. All
Tear me
right,
apart.
have we wrapped this up? Can we call what's his face? Are we good?
I'm expecting an answer.
When this is all over, you can keep your powers or you can give it back. I'm not going to force you to do anything. You can find a home and a purpose in the Silver Sanctum, or you can find a purpose somewhere else.
It's your
I
choice.
meant it. You help us with that. You help me find the diamonds you're gonna need. I will help you bring your sister back.
The one thing you're guaranteed to have after the end of all this is choices, Kenny.
And friends. Been a while since you had those.
And perhaps a little rest.
That'll be nice.
Rest does sound nice. Very well. On one condition. If I die, whether it's from you stabbing me in the back, or that dragon picking me to the bone, or Els decides to run me through with that pike of his, you leave me and my sister both dead, and bury us together. Find whatever's left of her and leave me with her.
All right.
You have my word.
We'll stab you in the front. Just kidding. But seriously, if we were going to.
Oi! And the orc, who was just kind of sitting at the base of the skull with their arms crossed, kind of looks up. Tell the boys we're moving out. Break camp. We're heading north. We're heading towards the dragon. Yeah, that's about the sum of it. There's money in it. Not as much, no. But, I'll tell you now what I told you back then. You don't like it? Walk away. And he steps off of the dragon skull, and as he does so, you can see the air literally freeze to the point of solidifying, forming this almost like icy personal staircase as he just walks his way down the dragon skull. And anyone with balls enough to do so is free to follow me. And he looks up at the skull to the rest of you, and what will you all be doing then?
We got a few other loose ends to tie up. You know anything about the gambler?
I knew him. Last I heard, he was running a casino in Smythe.
And that's our next stop. Anything you can give us that might make him more amenable towards our proposition?
He's a lot like me, actually. Doesn't have a fondness for cages. Word of advice, just tell him what you told me. If he thinks you're there to arrest him, he's not going to go down without a fight. But if you just want information to take that thing down and help if he's willing to offer it, he'll likely let you get away. And don't ever shake his hand.
Noted. Thanks, Kenny. We'll see you there.
Best of luck.
Kenny.
And with that,
Oh.
no. He looks up, kind of raises an eyebrow.
Can you freeze walls and ice spikes?
You mean, can I make things out of ice?
Yes.
Easily.
You just made a staircase.
Make, if you can, when you get there, our armies are mustering. Make a giant icicle I'd love to slam a dragon down on.
Done. And with that, he turns and waves to the orc, who kind of looks up at all of you with a kind of curious look, like curious what exactly you said to him, because you imagine Kenny's been in this state since the priest woke up. So he's kind of looking up at you all curious, like what exactly you said to his boss to get him out of his funk, but eventually turns and trudges alongside his boss. And Kenny Caldwell, known to the Goldshine Supernatural Investigation Agency as the Child, and known, Israel, you recall from the research notes you read, known to the Children of Red Sight and to the Wheel as Justice. Justice sought and if the fates are kind, justice delivered. As Kenny rounds up the northerners that are willing to follow him into almost certain death, the Children of Red Sight are effectively no more. At least their organization done for. They have no more promise of payment. Nothing owed to their leader now, but any sense of kindness he showed them, and the goodness of their hearts to not leave Mazai to its grim fate. And the camp begins to disassemble as the five of you observe from the peak of the Dragon Skull, as Kenny vanishes among the crowd and prepares to make his way to the battlefield. And as far as you understand his abilities, likely taking the cold with him.
That's just the limo now. Dale said we don't got time to stop.
Yep. Well, Smythe, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry, Smythe. All those S names.
It does get confusing after a while.
I always thought Selema was spelled with a C.
Is it?
I didn't read
Wasn't-
these names, to be honest.
Isn't it an X?
See, I thought it was like.
Ivron, you're the one with the map.
Ivron's just staring as Caldwell walks off. Just, he's got something in mind.
Maybe it's like a TS, like a Solimo.
All right, so you guys are going to start making your way to Smythe?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. In the interest of time, I will simply say that you begin your journey heading out to the western coast. Yeah, western. Heading out to the western coast. It is a rough journey. Kenny has left the desert more uninhabitable than deserts typically are to begin with. The days are cold, the nights are colder. The terrain slows you down, although, given your navigational skills you've demonstrated, not excessively so. In the interest of not stopping any more than purely necessary, I imagine you guys avoid the cities insofar as you can without massively detouring. And it takes several days. Again, it is not a particularly easy trip. But after about a week of travel, go ahead and knock off appropriate amount of rations as needed if you have the need for those for such things. If you're not constrained to mere mortal food stuff requirements.
Oh yeah, no. If we need to make food, I can make food.
And along the way, you will pass the Troas Peninsula, which you can refresh your water skins there. So food and water you are not hurting for. It is simply about 8 days of rough travel over freezing desert. And once you make your way out of the Arrowhead Desert and begin to cross into the Fletching Mountains toward the Troas Peninsula, as you begin to just lightly scale the mountains as much as you need to get to the other side, Griaz, you can see on the other side of the peninsula, only a few days away now, the Black Swamp. Constrained on both sides, much smaller and more humble than the other swamps of this land. All of you can behold it now as well. You see the city of Kask on one side, the city of Noth on the other. The Troas Peninsula borders it. And wrapped around all of this with Smythe on the opposite side, the Black Swamp. If you wish to get to Smythe on foot, you will need to cross through Griaz's home, as well as greet whatever threatens it. Making your way down the Fletching Mountains, you begin to cross the Badlands. Griaz, while the swamp was always your home, bugbears don't necessarily just appear in swamps typically. Uh, while your origins are your own, if you're native, most likely Noth was your place of birth. Noth is the ancestral land of the bugbears. And while Noth is not officially a part of the Bluefield Alliance, they are a sort of rough ally to them, something akin to what the Undarian Duchy was to the Empire and Sultanate. Not officially involved, but willing to if things got out of hand.
Riaz was born in Noth, didn't spend a ton of time there. Once he reached like what teenager is for a bugbear is when he got into some rough crowds and began the smuggler life.
And over the course of, again, about 3 days out of the Fletching Mountains, crossing the Safari Badlands, which are being endlessly pelted by this hurricane the priest has summoned, as the priest at this point is beginning to conclude its rampage in Amelia City and is beginning to make its way west, and the storm is moving with it. As you cross the Badlands that were once your home, rain pouring down, thunder crackling over your heads. You're way ahead, illuminated more by flashes of lightning than they are by the sun. And the entire area, everything around the Troas Peninsula, is imbued in this deep, meaty fog as the rain gathers in the safari and sand and forms this thick mist. Between the fog and the rain and the darkness of the storm clouds, it's getting harder and harder to find your way. And as you all are, I imagine, using similar methodology to what you had used in the jungle during the hurricane, making your way more on just making sure nobody steps out of the line and nobody loses one another. Animals, mimics, companions, trying desperately to ensure nobody wanders off, as you're confident, even with Israel, Utaka, and Griaz helping guide you all, if Yao or Junior were to get lost in the tall grass, which is consumed by fog and darkness, in the pouring rain and flashes of lightning, you'd likely never see them again. You keep a tight grip on your companions as you trudge your way through soaking safari. And as you're just beginning to skirt the outskirts of Noth, Griaz, the familiar, less the smell, less the sights, and more that gut instinct you get when you know you are in a familiar place begins to kick in. Not just the instinct of a childhood spent wandering the tall grass, but an adult life in fealty to something greater. As you all cross the threshold of Noth's outskirts and begin to enter the Black Swamp. As you all begin to cross through the Black Swamp, I'll say, Griaz, you are the expert. You guided people through this place for a living. How do you go about guiding the party through your home?
It's a little bit of just innate kind of tracking. You know, I think he is trying to tap into the swamp spirits as best he can. He actually has commune with nature, which he is going to cast from time to time, and just try to get, a general consensus for what's going on. He is going to literally speak with nature around him, run his fingers through the grass, touch the bark of the trees. It's literally using every sensory rather that he has to try to determine this. I think even if he sees creatures around, he'll try to speak with animals and just, whether it's snakes or birds or whatever, try to see what they've heard, what they've seen, and try to guide them deeper, and especially try to determine if anyone is here that's not supposed to be here.
As you all just follow behind Griaz, at this point, the storm has made the sky so dark that, again, you are navigating by flashes of lightning and the refusal to wander from the path. Griaz guides you all along, and Griaz, you are, of course, familiar with a lot of the native flora and fauna. Ahuls hunt at night, Gigi birds during the day. Various tortoises, worms, and leeches inhabit the waters. Moles and meerkats dig in the mud, and even the occasional warthog will sniff around for mushrooms and such at the base of the trees. And as you escort the party through, you commune with every plant and every animal you can. And it's hard to discern through the just the noise, the panic of what's going on, the endless rain, the flooding, the fear that they're feeling, and the sense almost unconscious that something is wrong. The swamp is dying, and they don't know why. They don't know what's happening. However, eventually, you are able to start picking up on something that does catch your attention. When the swamp spirits guide you, it is typically in the form of small things, whispers, little fleeting glimpses of guidance, much like what Utaka experiences with their gods. And as you continue to ask every tree, every animal, every blade of grass, what's going on? Where are they? Is there anything here that's not supposed to be? You hear a voice as you run your hands through the muddy grass. You hear a voice whisper in your head as the grass communes back with you. The graveyard.
And with that, he's going to pick up his pace. Turn back
Griaz,
to everybody, just y'all stay close. Be quiet. He is going to cast Pass Without Trace on everybody so that they can move quickly but quietly.
okay.
Would it be safe to say I have accrued a cloud of bugs well
Yes.
here?
Yes. Although, yeah, it is mostly, because I actually have noted what lives here, you are mostly drawing in a crowd of leeches and worms.
Okay. Although I think we said that snake can also be.
Yes, yes, but while there are snakes native here, you haven't run into too many yet.
Okay.
But yeah, you are accruing a very, like, as you guys walk along, all of the waterfronts start to bubble as worms and leeches like flock to wherever Utaka is. And Griaz, as you pass this warning, everyone roll stealth, and you may add the +10 from Pass Without Trace.
Utaka, by the way, with all the vermin, and you're literally wearing the same thing as me. I mean, if you were a little bit hairy, we'd basically be twins at this point.
I mean,
Like,
I
wouldn't gonna say
like...
one of us had to change, but like, come on, man.
I mean, you've still got like fucking 2 feet on me.
Don't you forget it.
Ain't fucking fair.
That's a 16 plus 10 for me, so 26 at disadvantage.
6.
It is a 36.
26, 36.
That's also going to be a 36 for me.
Okay.
39.
Avron?
Rolling like trash, but with Pass Without a Trace, that's a 17 for Braun.
Why not add a bardic inspiration to it? Roll that 1d6.
That is 20.
Okay. As Griaz gives you all the word to stay low and cast Pass Without Trace, you all get low to the ground and begin to sneak your way along. Ivron, at one point. You step into a particularly thick of mud, and the sound, even through the rain, is kind of loud and off-putting. And Gaheris, yeah, you give your bardic inspiration however you see fit. And Ivron, as you kind of slowly pull your boot free from the mud, it thankfully is quiet, and you're much more careful where you step going forward. Now I will ask you, Griaz, sort of giving you the chance as a player to decide, since I know other commitments may be a factor. Do you wish to lead the party straight to where nature has identified the threat? Or do you wish to escort them through the swamp into Smythe and then deal with the threat on the way out?
For real world reasons, noting where they are collected, noting that he has at least spoken to the spirits, that they are still speaking to him, and because the current priority is the gambler, he is going to lead them. I think he still wants to kind of scout at the graveyard, especially with them being that quiet, but he is going to lead them through the swamp.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, that actually would be a great segue. Do you wish to get the party just basically to Smythe? It's a city, it should be more or less safe, and then head to Scout, and we can use that to justify like where you're at, basically?
That works, yeah.
Okay, awesome. In that case, Griaz, you escort the party through the swamp, but keeping a mental note, you're confident you know what the spirits are referring to. Deep in the Black Swamp, one of your most important duties was overseeing the graveyard. Supposedly, this graveyard, less a graveyard in the traditional sense, not a cemetery or a morgue, it is simply a tar pit, where the mud and muck of the swamp is so thick that supposedly anything that steps foot in it can never escape. Supposedly, even great dragons have landed in the muck only to find themselves stuck and eventually starve to death. The pit is littered with skeletons as the creatures starve and scavengers and opportunists pick them clean. One of the frequent things you often had to do as someone who guided people through the swamp for money was helping treasure hunters and trappers get to the tar pit so that they could skin whatever unfortunate had most recently fallen into it. You also know that this tar pit is seen as very magically significant. Supposedly, things like dragons have been dying there since the swamp has been a thing, perhaps even long before. As a result, whether it's just superstition or not, you're admittedly not sure, but the presence of the spirits is certainly strong there. And that is supposedly why necromancers flocked to the swamp and eventually established the city of Cask in the Bluefield Alliance. Gaheris, you of course met one of the rulers of Cask. This tar pit that has collected so many souls, so many unfortunates, animal and sentient alike, that just got unlucky and fell in. Those who did not have a bugbear to guide them along the way, or perhaps those who had a bugbear who lured them into a trap. As the tar pit takes all and gives nothing back, much as nature itself does, the city of Cask was built on its edge, which turned it into the graveyard it is today, as the necromancers will frequently make excursions into the swamp to retrieve bodies from the tar pits. Whatever is happening is about to happen again, and the graveyard is going to be where it starts. And you'll be damned if it happens on your watch. As all this runs through your mind, you are all escorted by your bugbear to the edge of the Black Swamp. And in the distance, on a snowy hillside peninsula, you can see the colorful, gleaming city of Smythe. And as you all start preparing to make your way in, you see that Griaz is not following.
Y'all just go ahead. I gotta. I said I'd come back down back. Yeah, I can't leave again until my business is done. Now that is to say that y'all go and do your thing in Smythe. I have particular reasons why I cannot go back there, legal reasons. But go and chit chat with the gambler. Remember not to shake his hand, and go and convince them to be at least not a hindrance. And when y'all's done, come on back. I'll leave path for you to follow.
Will you be
You then, big guy?
After you. I'm getting a little choked up.
Oh, I was just gonna say we'll see him then. Like, nothing's gonna happen between then now, right?
No, I'll do my best to wait for y'all.
Are you going to be okay on your own?
Yeah. Hey, in here I ain't on my own anyway. This is my home, and it's just like when somebody comes into your home, wait invited. But yeah, I'll wait for y'all. Best I can. Try not to take too long. Don't end up in no nightmare realms for like 3 weeks or anything.
Well, if you need to find us, and I'll reach in the bag and I'm going to give you the ducat.
Oh, thank you.
Rewindable duck in a bucket.
Yep, just gonna put this in my bag of hold. I can definitely not forget about it. Definitely writing this down.
Well, I mean, if you can't find us for whatever reason, or for whatever reason we don't show up.
I mean, y'all maybe might want to hold on to this because you're gonna need to find me.
I don't think it's going to direct us away from the muck and the water and the whatever that black gooey stuff over yonder is.
Your home is in a realm of nightmare. Maybe let's not throw stones at swamp houses, okay?
I'm just saying that the ducat isn't smart enough to lead us out of pitfall traps. It's just going to point in a direction.
Yeah, I was gonna leave a critter at the edge of the woods to take you to where I was.
Ezreal's gonna walk up to Griaz and just open arms. Big hug.
Yeah, we'll give her a hug. You keep these idiots safe, all right?
Hey.
Rats. And she's like, you can pass me the ducat.
Yeah, we'll give Israel the ducat. Very subtly give a massive bucket with a quacking duck inside of it.
And as she passes Karis, there's easier ways to say that you don't like your gift. And she deliberately keeps a serious face. That's gonna, and then sort of just turns forward. And she's gonna just wait to see.
Can you repeat what you said? Graham, the player, didn't hear it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. She says, there are easier ways to say you don't like your gift.
If Ron will reach out and give Griaz a very friendly and brotherly handshake. And I don't know how much time has passed since last it was cast, but you now have aid at 4th level, so that's another plus 15 HP.
Yeah. To be clear, she is keeping a serious face, but she is definitely joking. If anyone wanted to insight check that.
I'll miss you, big guy.
Yeah, I'll see you as soon as you're done. Just, don't end up anywhere weird like we have a tendency to do. And, yeah, I ain't going forever.
I'm going to go in for a hug, if allowed.
Yeah. Come on,
I cast Death
He's
Ward.
also pulling Averon into.
Yeah, we all hug.
Don't say things like, we'll see each other soon. Don't do it.
We're just one session away.
Yeah, Death Ward on Griaz. You got 8 hours of not dying.
Okay, yeah. I'm just hanging out.
You all share a group hug.
I'm just hanging out, he says, completely and
What's
definitely.
the worst that could happen
honestly.
in my home?
Well, luckily, I'm only 2 days away from retirement.
Would you like to see photos of my friends and family? This here is my pregnant wife.
Let me reveal all the tragic parts of my backstory.
You all share a hug and part ways.
I swore I'd take these letters back to my sick grandpappy.
Griaz, you return home at last, ready to see just who has the nerve to intrude on your home and make sure they get their just desserts. And the remaining 4 of you make your way to the distant, colorful, dancing city of Smythe, where you will confront the last active, or at least known, Children of Red Sight member that is unaccounted for. And Hutaka, somewhere in that city, your mentor awaits you. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh boy. Alright. Once again, we have reached that time of the night, on a Friday night, in fact, where we have to say goodbye. And though parting is such sweet sorrow, we'll see you on a Friday, but not tomorrow. So, that is to say, it has been an absolute delight to play Gaheris and Nervos Blackmont, the Lord of the Silver Sanctum, for you tonight, your wonderful tiefling, Oath of Conquest Paladin Bard. But, you know what? Though we aren't playing until next Friday, we will be resuming some new campaigns very shortly. So, you know, if you haven't gotten your fix of D&D, starting in June at some point, I believe it is the first week of June, we will be resuming Shards of Anarian and Anarian's Rest, which are every alternating Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern Standard for the Anarian's Rest, and 8 for Shards of Anarian. We will be having some new cast members joining our crew, and some new faces, which I'm super excited about. But besides that, you can find us on some Mondays where we'll play some sort of video game with friends. Sometimes it's just me, but that's okay. We all have busy lives. But most importantly, thank you for joining us, because you are part of the reason why we do this, is making memories with all of you wonderful people in the chat. So, from me to you, from the bottom of my heart, I love you. And thanks. So I'd love to know 3 things from everyone else here before we leave. Who are you? Where can we find you? And what are some cool projects you're working on?
I guess I'll go ahead and go. I was Matt, your DM. I played everyone who wasn't the player characters. I was Frozone, I was Mr. Freeze, I was Captain Cold, I was all sorts of fun things. If you want to see more of my DMing, on Mondays and Tuesdays at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time, you can tune in to Odd Tornado Productions on Twitch and YouTube to find other streamed games I'm running that also take place in this campaign setting. So if you want to see more of this setting and world, I suggest you check that out. On Mondays, we stream Under Locks and Keys, featuring a party of globe-trotting treasure hunters trying to gather the artifacts of the gods to unlock a door that there's something back there. Treasure, curse, ancient preserved body of a second age warlord, something. And on Tuesdays, you can catch Of Black Ink and Blue Blood, a political thriller of politicians and nobles trying to unravel a political conspiracy if they can just stop stabbing each other in the back long enough. If you want to see more of my writing and more of this setting without having to contend with players, check out my webcomic Undercommon on Webtoon and Tapas, featuring one of the first goblins to ever become an adventurer. And if there's anything I missed, check out Odd Tornado Productions Official on Tumblr, where I put links to all the different things we do. We have shirts for this campaign. They're very nice. And wanted to make sure I mentioned this on screen at some point, so I definitely wouldn't forget. For helping Kenny Caldwell find his peace, you all level up. Only 4 levels remain. As this campaign draws closer and closer to its close. But that's it for me.
Hello, everyone. It is I, Kari. You can find me here every Friday until such time as this lovely campaign comes to an end, which might be sooner than anyone might hope. But you can also find me every other Tuesday when those lovely Anarian's Rest campaign starts up. And I will be playing the Tiefling Karis Nefsen, Tiefling Wizard. And join us then, please, and watch more of me in this exclusive place where which you can find me, because I don't really exist anywhere else. I don't really do anything else that you can follow up with anyway, because like I'm on the internet, of course, but you don't know me. The only place you can know me is Go Worst 2, where my player name is down there in the chat. If you ever want to hang out, catch up, do some stuff, I'm cool, I promise.
Okay, hey, I'll go. Hi, everybody. I'm Derek Sword. Most of my projects are on hold right now. You can always find me on Twitter at dsword16. Most of my projects are on hold because my real world project is turning this farmhouse that I've moved into actually making a proper streaming space in a room out of it, which is in the works. It's being done. And once that happens, I will be back with season 2 of Horizon's Call. And also I have you can find the old episodes of that on YouTube, Eva Sariot's channel, also on Twitch. I also do a podcast called Monster Crush with a friend of mine named Heavenly, and she just graduated from her master's program, so hopefully we will get some new episodes of that. We talk about different cryptids and creatures like Nessie, and how smoochable they are, and Nessie's very smoochable. She's very cute. So check that out wherever podcasts are found. There's a wonderful backlog of that as well. And yeah, more projects up and coming once I get that space worked out. In the meantime, like I said, check out that Twitter. You can see dog pictures, horse pictures, farm pictures, D&D stuff, all there. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy, and I had the pleasure to play with these fine folk once again as the Protector Asimar Oath of Devotion Paladin, Ivron Blackmont. I go by the handle of Dane Darkstride via social media, Twitter, Instagram, what have you. But not a whole lot going on with me, so there's not a whole lot going on there. I am Graham Crackers exclusive, and you will only find me every Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here to have fun and to hopefully get a chance to see and talk with some of you. I have no other projects going on, so sorry. I'll pass it off to whoever's next.
Hey everyone, I am Pharaoh. I played Utaka today. You can catch me on the aforementioned Shards of Anarian when it returns in June, where I play Sinra Stottermain, a Leonin warlock paladin, back from the dead and looking for some revenge, maybe. I don't know, we'll see. Could be fun. Otherwise, you can catch me here on Fridays and also at the Twitter, linked in the chat. I will see you later on Graham Crackers, the channel.
Is it over so soon? I thought it could last forever. And now I may just cry. But we'll see you soon. And until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay hydrated. And we'll be back before you know it. We're going to go raid Wes IRL. Some of you may know Wes from their Smosh games experience, but they are playing some D&D. So we're going to give them a little raid, and why don't we just spam some Graham love and say, I hope the dice roll well for you tonight. So please join us. We'll see you soon. Remember, make as many memories as you can with your friends, because you know what? Those will last a lifetime. So thank you, and we'll see you soon.